Alrighty, so
Dude.
yeah. Welcome back.
We have a fucking slate to talk about.
Are we Groypers now? I think we're Groypers.
Dude, he's always right.
I know.
He's always
been
right.
right about the whole thing, been right about Iran,
Yeah.
and I can't lie, dude.
Dude,
I think I'm a Groyper.
Say what you will about. I mean, I can't stop watching his streams. I stay up till fucking midnight every night just to watch them.
Me
It's
too.
not. Here's the thing. Obviously, does he say some controversial stuff? You probably turn me down just a hair. Does he say some controversial stuff that I don't necessarily agree with? 100%. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
there's some some things that I wouldn't necessarily say out loud.
I don't know if I agree with him on women.
Agreed.
Not all of it. Some of it I do agree with.
Agreed. And he's very much an isolationist.
We're talking about Nick Fuentes, by the way, folks.
Yes, we are. We probably should have said that, but
Yeah. Well, now they know.
yeah, it is what
Now
it
they
is.
know.
He's very much an isolationist when it comes to his beliefs. Obviously, I mean, he is America first to the definition of it, which
To the core.
also just means only, I mean, only a select few in the country,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, not even though. I mean, he likes to shit talk, and what did he say on?
He really does, but he wanted Ye to be president, so
What did he say on yesterday's stream? He goes, "I get drunk on anger,
on hatred.
drunk off hatred and anger."
Yeah. Which, and that was simply just talking about, when he was saying that, he was talking about like the mainstream
Yeah.
conservative, speakers, I guess. Charlie Kirk, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro. I mean, that the Ben Shapiro thing gets dirty, but
Very dirty.
You know, he was talking about all of those guys, and I mean, I see it. You know, we voted for a president who was anti-war. You know, and as Nick was saying, there was a complete 180 that happened, man. Like, complete 180 from Trump going, I don't want any wars. I don't want, I want Iran to come to an agreement. They can't have nuclear weapons. And I think everybody on the right agrees that we don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
However, again, Iran's been 2 days away from a nuclear missile since the fucking 90s, 80s. You know, like,
You want to pull that up?
yeah, we can. The compilation of all of them.
So
Did you send that to me?
Yeah. Talk about what the video is.
Yeah, so it's basically Netanyahu continuously coming to the United States and just talking about how close Iran is to a nuclear missile. Yeah, right there. How close they are and how much of a threat they are, and yada yada yada, which I can understand. However, we're gonna watch 40 years of Netanyahu say this, and
It's damn near 40 years. But yeah, this video that we're
Right,
talking about,
right.
man, he's saying time and time again. It goes back all the way to 1992, or
I think it's 95.
Okay, 95. But he's saying, yeah, Iran's 3 months, 4 months, 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. Listen to what he says. I think it's very damning and it's very interesting because he's been trying to provoke us to get into war with Iran for damn near 40 years.
Yeah.
Not stopped. Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous.
7 years prior.
Weeks
This is
away
3 years prior.
From
This
having
is
the
2015.
fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from
6
being
months
about
away in
90% of
2012.
having the rich uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, 95. So we just watched 30 years. Is my mathing? 25. Yeah, we just watched 30 years.
Not 40, but close enough.
Yeah, we just
Close
watched
enough.
30 years of Netanyahu.
I'm going to turn the volume up.
Yeah,
Continue.
go ahead. We just watched 30 years of Netanyahu tell us that Iran was very close to a nuclear bomb. Do I believe that, they're... And it makes you think, Luke, like, are they even enriching uranium to 60% right now? Like, I mean, what is the fucking truth?
So what Nick says, what Nick Fuentes says, by the way, the most knowledgeable person on the Middle Eastern conflict.
Yeah.
Dude, he knows
And he's
freaking
26.
everything. 26, okay? And he has been in the game for 10 years. or I think it's only been 8 actually, no, 10 years, right? And he's talking about all this stuff. He's talking about 2 nuclear bases. One, there's Natanz, but we don't really have to worry about Natanz as much per se, them attacking it, because it's kind of above ground, kind of below ground. I had no clue. And then there's Fordo. And Fordo is very interesting because it is built into a mountain, 20 stories down, to the point where only the United States Air Force can attack it and completely destroy it.
Because we are the only ones with a military plane that has the capability to carry the bunker busters. And it's not even going to be like, oh, we drop one. Like, it has to be days of us just dropping bombs on Fordo just to, hope to God. And, dude, like, that's the problem with this fucking war that I have is... For 30 years, we heard Bibi say, we need to attack Iran. For 30 years, he's asked each president to bomb Iran.
That's the thing. And Nick has predicted all of this to the point where I've been listening to him since probably March. I've been watching the live streams, not religiously, but I've been watching them. And he's been saying, we're going to go to war with Iran. We're going to go to war with Iran. All this shit, warning about the signs. Israel's going to attack. And I didn't think they would. But then they did. And then you see the U.S. is saying they're going to attack. And they do. And so we're just further escalating everything. And now Nick is saying a false flag is going to come. Either two things. Trump will enter on behalf of Israel and help Israel. Or Israel will orchestrate a false flag. And then that will get us in it. Yeah. So... will they attack one of our bases in the Middle East, or will they attack us?
Right.
That's a really scary thing. We don't know.
Right,
but,
because they said, one day it's Tel Aviv and the next day it's New York.
Yes, and again, Nick talks about people like Charlie Kirk, Matt Walsh, right? You have your Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles is Matt Walsh are Catholic, but Charlie Kirk is an evangelical. And this is very interesting because I've had encounters with people who are the evangelical Christians, and they say that... and I don't want to say the Jews, so we'll just say Israel, the people of Israel.
The Frisbees.
Yes, that's perfect. We'll say the Frisbees, right? And one person in particular I'm thinking of, she goes, the Frisbees are God's chosen people. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
And they say, no, this is biblical Israel. Like, the Bible says we must bless Israel. And the problem is, modern day Israel is 78 years old. Exactly. 78. There was a time where Israel did not exist at all.
Exactly.
Continuing on, you're saying, I thought we were all created in the image of God.
Exactly.
That's something that is in the Bible. I thought that we were created in the image of God. And I don't think that when the Bible was written 2,000 years ago or whenever, this was actually more, because this is in Genesis when it says that we must bless Israel, so way more. Modern day Israel was not even a thing. Exactly. Modern day Israel is a secular society. They perform abortions. Did you know in Tel Aviv, what percentage of Tel Aviv is LGBTQ?
I'd say
75.
I was going to say 60.
It's 75%.
Dude, I mean, did you see the bunker video of the gay? I mean, it's insane.
We're not going to pull that up, but yeah, it's a bunch of guys, gay guys, that are in the bunker together, and they're like, this is like the best place to be. You would love to be here. It's like, what are we doing? And you want to go biblical. You're telling me that's not Sodom and Gomorrah?
Exactly.
You're telling me that's not Sodom and Gomorrah, a country who... they claim to be biblical Israel, but it's different. And then a city that's like not really following any of the pillars of Christianity.
Exactly.
And continuing on, the Frisbees. Shad, I thought everybody that doesn't accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior isn't going to heaven. And last time I checked, they didn't accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Correct. I mean, I can't speak for Judaism, but I mean,
exactly. And I mean, we'll get into it later. But this is the exact path that Ted Cruz tried to use to get out of the conversation with Tucker Carlson.
So how are they God's chosen people? That's what I'm saying.
They're not. That's the problem. They're not God's chosen people. They are the puppet, or they're the puppet hand under or inside of the United States.
And not all of them. When we say the Frisbees, we're talking about the elite Frisbees that are controlling 100%, our politicians.
100%.
Like, there are a lot of good Frisbees, like Dave Smith.
Yes.
I love Dave Smith.
I love Dave Smith.
Also, Jeffrey Sachs, who's been on Tucker Carlson, gets sexualized. People that you encounter, right? Those are not the people that we're talking about. We're talking about the elites that are literally controlling our politicians and our government.
Right.
And so,
do you want to pull up the clip of Nick predicting all this?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Is it this one right here?
No, it is up higher. It would be like back from like his old set. That's Kyrie. Right. No, sorry, the wrong one.
Just riff.
Yeah, I'm trying to riff. but I'm trying to also pay attention. Anyways, so the clip that he's looking for is, again, Nick Fuentes basically predicting all of this back from the October 7th incident that kind of kicked this all off. You might be able to just search it. Just put Nick Fuentes predicts. But anyways, he predicts this all the way down to us getting into Iran. And to be honest with you, man, like, you have a 26-year-old kid who is just leaps and bounds.
He was
beyond
like 22 at that time.
Right.
No?
Leaps and bounds beyond right there. Beyond anybody else when it comes to predicting all this stuff, and Israel's desire to get into Iran. And we'll get into it after this clip, but to me, it just sounds so fishy, man. Netanyahu has been going in on Iran again, like we saw for 30 years, and then all of a sudden, the only time the U.S. gets dragged into it is when Netanyahu finally has enough.
Yeah, I know.
And then the clip after that. I mean, there's a whole conspiracy that we could fall down behind the Epstein list and all that stuff. And a week prior to this, Elon Musk had tweeted out about Trump being on the.
And that's another thing.
It's a whole other clip, but this is, again, like I said, this is Nick Fuentes basically predicting everything that's happened in the past 3 years, 2 years?
3 years.
3 years.
So we'll play it for you.
Yeah.
Israel benefits from the attack by Hamas because now they get to solve the Gaza question finally. Now they get to go in and kill them all and ethnically cleanse this region. In doing so, they know they're provoking and basically an unavoidable retaliation. There's an unavoidable reciprocal attack by these Iranian militias against Israel. And all that does is give Israel an excuse to do what they always wanted to do, which is to bomb Iran's centrifuges, which is their nuclear program. And if they do that, then Iran is in a war with Israel, and then they draw the United States into a war with Iran. And they get the crown jewel, what they always wanted, which is an end to the regime in Syria and an end to the regime in Iran. And that seems to be the big play that Israel is making. So consider the following. Israel had an intelligence failure. Oops. Number one surveillance superpower in the world. It's your neighbor. Oops, we didn't know that Hamas was going to spill out and kill all Netanyahu's political enemies in the south. The commie, all these labor Zionists down in the south of Israel. Oops, we didn't see it coming. Oh, we didn't know that Hamas was going to invade. Guess we have an excuse to go and kill them all. Guess a perfect political crisis fell into Netanyahu's lap right as he was about to get removed from power and thrown in jail. Now he's forming a unity government to go and destroy his sworn enemy for 100 years. And they get to go and level Gaza. And the United States backs them and Israel backs them because of the visceral atrocities that were committed by Hamas, which they failed to anticipate.
To a T.
So Israel is going to conduct
a T,
brutal campaign against Gaza, which they know that Iran has to respond to. They know that Iran and all the neighboring powers have to go and attack Israel for doing this because the people would revolt if they didn't. They bring the United States in to say, hey, we're going to put Iran in check. Iran won't attack Israel if the United States is in the neighborhood. Wrong. Iran almost has to. They're forced. And if Iran attacks Israel, if these militias attack Israel, then Israel can widen the conflict and attack Iran. America's brought in, and now Israel gets two for the price of one. This little attack by Hamas, this may be the tripwire that sets off the regional war that they have wanted for decades.
To a T, man. To a T. Can you blame the Groypers?
How the hell do you get every single thing right?
Right.
This
What a
guy,
pull.
there is no political commentator that comes near Nick Fuentes, man.
No. I mean, and isn't that a crazy statement to make online? That's a crazy statement to make.
Okay,
online.
but it's true though. When it comes to knowing everything and the knowledge and stuff he talks about, I didn't know about Natanz and Fordo. I didn't know that they're only enriching uranium to 60%. I didn't know that we had done all of this stuff in preparation from this. And when he talks about the Israel lobby and when he talks about Netanyahu, like, I didn't even know what the Likud party was, but that's the political party of Benjamin Netanyahu, and they've been in power for a good 40 years.
Yeah.
And he's talking about all this, and it makes sense. I mean, we haven't, this is relatively new. Like, I don't know if we consider ourselves Groypers now, but I'm certainly interested in watching Nick Fuentes.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, it's a rabbit hole that we're both down.
Maybe I am a Groyper. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but here's the thing. Nobody agrees with 100% of what anybody says.
Yeah.
But this guy in particular, he is so knowledgeable. He is so intelligent.
Yeah.
There is nobody that was able to predict everything after October 7th, rather, and everything that goes on in the world like him. I mean, the way he's breaking down the geography and the different cities in Iran and the background behind everything, there's nobody like that.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, I wish you would have, I would have, paid attention to him, because everything gets written off, I mean, he's debanked, he's on a no-fly list, he's put on a...
Well, he can fly.
Yes.
He's still debanked.
This was all, yes.
Banned from a payment processor.
Yes. So, I mean, this was all things that happened years ago. But, I mean, dude, Rumble, thank God he can stream on Rumble.
He'll be around forever, though.
He's 26 unless they kill him.
They already freaking tried to kill him in December.
And it didn't even make the fucking news.
I know. Okay, so when's the first time you heard about Nick Fuentes?
I mean, probably scrolling through X and seeing things. I mean, I can't really put the first time that I really fell down the rabbit hole is when you started talking about him, truly. I mean, I'll be honest with you. That's the first time that I really went down the rabbit hole. Other than... I mean, quite frankly, it's very new. 2 months when I watched that documentary about him on YouTube that one dude put out.
The one I
that was
sent
kind
to
of
you.
that was kind of like I mean, it really it dogged Nick through the dirt.
Yeah.
And it kind of highlighted some things that Nick, outside of his hour and a half stream every night, he might be kind of a piece of shit behind the curtain.
Maybe
he might be gay. There's a million different things.
But honestly.
Who
He's
cares?
so talented. I don't care. And he's leading a revolutionary movement. So I have a comment about that. But I have an aside from that.
Yeah.
So I found out about Nick Fuentes in 2022 when CNN, MSNBC, Fox News even condemned Donald Trump for having a dinner in Mar-a-Lago with Nick Fuentes. I knew who Milo Yiannopoulos was, but obviously Kanye was there too.
Right.
That's when I first started hearing about Nick Fuentes.
I would say that was mine as well.
But after the election, when I saw he had that TikTok, it was like the "Your Body, My Choice" forever.
Yes.
That tweet, and then he had the TikTok that went viral. That's the first thing where I really started to find out who he was, bro. But I found after that, right? Obviously, I found out the rabbit hole too. I introduced you to him, whatever, yada yada yada. He has a lot of really really good views. And he represents a part of the right wing that hasn't been allowed to have a voice for, I don't know, 70 years maybe.
Right.
Let's set that aside. So Nick Fuentes' followers are the Groypers, and bro, there are way more of them than you would think.
And the scary part is how free they are with their speech. If you are going to watch Nick Fuentes on Rumble, give Nick a chance and do not go to the live chats, because holy fuck, those are rough.
The live chats are a bit much.
Yes,
some of his followers are, shall we say,
white supremacists.
But I would go even further. I don't know. They say everything. We're not allowed to say the R word on YouTube, but let's just say they
say grape Netanyahu.
Grape Sneeko.
Sneeko. There's a lot of big ones. But also, I mean, dude, even outside of his show, he goes on InfoWars. He goes on the Sneeko streams.
Oh my gosh.
He destroyed Dean Withers in a fucking in the
Nick on Kick is what it's called.
Yes. So, but I mean, even going back to the Dean Withers debate that they had. I mean, the problem is they put, a little Twinkie freaking 19-year-old Democrat against this really fucking smart kid.
Who also happens to be a white nationalist.
Exactly. And all Dean could bury him with was just outlandish comments about would you kill a baby if Jesus kill and grape a baby if Jesus told you to. Like, that was literally
his response was perfect though. He's like, that's the Old Testament. It was a fallen world.
Right.
It's not supposed to be the modern world.
Exactly. So I mean, Yeah, the Groypers
And some of the
stand
super
up.
chats, some of the super chats are a bit much.
Some of the super chats are a bit much. I think there's a lot of
Incel humor.
hiding behind a computer, incel humor, and
he
honestly
is an incel.
things that Nick doesn't even really condone. Like
Yeah.
I mean, he'll get super chats that say "Grape Netanyahu," "Grape Sneeko."
he
says
shits on the super chatters
yeah,
a lot, yeah.
he does shit on the super chatters. I mean, I really think that it's a weird following of people who adore him and love him, and then he's just kind of plays the cool guy.
Because he's like the incel king. But like, here's the thing: people use incel as a pejorative, but he's also claimed to be an incel too.
Yeah, I mean, and he also said he had a clip 2 weeks ago or a week ago about marriage. That went viral, and I don't know, dude. The fact that he was almost murdered and nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
And that guy who murdered him was involved in, I believe, a triple homicide or double homicide. One of the two.
After, I believe.
Yeah, after but he came to, or it might have been
Before.
Before.
It was
after.
either before or after. Obviously.
Anyways, thank God Nick didn't open the door.
course.
Obviously.
And he did pepper. If you
He
saw
did
it,
pepper
when he
spray that
sprayed the
lady,
little girl,
yes.
He's like, "Fuck out of here."
But honestly, who the fuck shows up to someone's front door, dude?
Yeah, not
like she's
that.
lucky she didn't
And
get a gun.
He's already on edge.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
would be too.
When
So
you're like that.
100%.
But, okay, so I was thinking about this, right? This is not the first alt-right political movement or far-left political movement that has threatened the mainstream. The thing is, our generation, Gen Z, especially the men, but even the women too, when you get a little bit younger, I've seen the stats, it's crazy. But men right now, our age in Gen Z, they lean Republican or they lean right by 4 points, right?
Yeah.
And that's huge because it's not usual for young people to lean to the right.
Right.
Okay. But we've already went through it. It's because the media bashed men, and we grew up with these people telling us that we're evil and masculinity is toxic. So,
Right.
okay, of course we hate them, and they're the Democratic Party, so this is why we're on the right. It emboldened us, whatever. But more and more men are starting to discover Nick Fuentes, and these alt-right talking point, not even talking points, but views are something that the millennial men don't have.
Right.
But if you go back, if you listen to older men,
they all have these
they
views.
say the same thing that
they
he
all
says.
have these views.
Majority.
Yeah.
At least
I think
domestic
it's-
opinions.
I think it's coming back, and I think we're going to see a big switch, especially when, I mean, and this is a huge prediction down the line, so clip it if we get it right and we're still doing this in 20 years. But, as
Pay us.
as he grows, man, like, I just don't see how Fox News and CNN and those other news stations, I don't see how they survive. He is getting more views in clips and or streams than
I know that
CNN.
I saw that
It is
graphic. That was
nuts.
very interesting.
It is nuts. So I mean, you can't sit here and tell me that as streams get more and more. I'm not a stream dude like Aiden Ross or Kai Cenat. I don't give a fuck about watching live streams. I truly don't.
I haven't. They look kind of cool. Speed.
Yeah, I
when
guess.
he's in China. But I to your credit, I haven't.
Right.
I haven't watched it.
I have a day job, so when those
Right.
guys are streaming at fucking 11 p.m., I'd rather be watching old clips of Nick Fuentes.
Or I'd rather be watching Nick Fuentes online live streaming like an actual news show.
Exactly. And so to your point, or to my point, I guess, when we see these mainstream news channels kind of die out, we're going to have to switch to something because technology is always changing. People aren't going to be, watching whatever is on they're not going to be watching the fucking Five
When the boomers
or
are
whatever.
dead.
Exactly.
That they only have a slight amount of time before that happens.
Exactly.
Okay, but I would argue that's already happened.
I would argue to a point it's already happened. What I'm trying to say is there are still our age, yes, there's a lot of political Twitter is a wild place, and I feel like that's almost the only X. It's like the only, I guess, it's the only social media that is really, really rabbit holey when it comes to political stances, politicians in general, or just, political commentators.
It's definitely different.
It's the free speech side of things where you're not going to get a Fuentes on Instagram, or you're going to get his clips. You're not going to get a Fuentes on Facebook. You're going to get, your stupid aunt talking about the fucking protests or whatever
Right.
on Facebook. So you go onto X and you see these things that are going viral. So like you said, once the boomers are gone, what happens to the new age of politicians? Does it look like a Groyper uprising in a presidential stance? Would he even want to, do that?
He said before that if he's called upon, he'll do what he has to do. But I think this movement is going to gain more and more traction as more and more people wake up.
Yeah.
But go back a little bit.
Okay.
Speaking to the media, the mainstream media perspective, we're talking about how the boomers watch Fox News, CNN, MSNBC.
Right.
I would argue that the shift has already happened. You see Trump going on all these podcasts. You see Kamala went on Call Her Daddy, and
Right.
she went on The Pivot.
Right.
So you start to see this was the first election where podcast and independent media kind of really started to like turn the wheel.
Right. I think not to cut you off, but to your point, I think we'll still see that and a lot more of that in coming election cycles. But I think after election cycles, we see that die out. You know, your political candidates.
Well, I'm getting somewhere.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you know how we criticize CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News to a degree when the right or the left have like their talking points.
Yes.
Did you see this past week when it was Matt Walsh, it was Jack Posobiec, and it was Charlie Kirk? They had that same, and Nick was talking.
The tweet, yes.
Yep, they had that same tweet, and it was like, Nick was saying like, oh, like they got their marching orders, like, and I forget what it even was. It was about like America First or something like that. I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, I forget what the tweet was, but I did see they all kind of tweeted it out, which is just so funny because what fucking playbook are you running here? Because
what I'm
we
saying
just
is,
watched.
Like, that's the same thing.
Yeah,
there is CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. It's just these right and left wing. I mean, we're criticizing the right wing commentators, but it's just these commentators,
right.
And like it hasn't changed the venue, if you will, or the platform, how you get this information has just shifted. Yeah. But like there's people like with the similar talking points.
Right.
You listen to a Ben Shapiro, you listen to I don't listen to Ben anymore, but you listen to a Matt Walsh, and it's like, hold on. They're talking about the same things on their stuff. It's basically the same show, just with like a slightly different opinion.
Right.
And so it's like these people have the same people that are paying them, I would imagine. And it's like, holy shit. And then, okay.
Well, I mean, at least we know everybody at the Daily Wire does.
Right. But even like Charlie Kirk and stuff, and you see how they all switched up their stance.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk, Matt Walsh, Jack Posobiec, Michael Knowles, people that some of them I had like good faith were like independent
Absolutely
thinkers. And it's like, hold on, they're all getting their marching orders the same. And then you talk about the X influencers. Those are like the reporters kind of, but the MAGA reporters.
Yeah.
People like DC Drano, people like Laura Loomer, who are now calling for us to get in direct conflict with Iran.
Yeah.
Things that Nick Fuentes has very much accurately predicted.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, dude, I was cutting you off.
But like, I just wanted to reiterate that point that like that old media, the thing about, oh yeah, they're all just getting their talking points and they're not really independent. But like, it's transcended now, and it's on social media too. Yeah. These people are also getting their talking points, even though we thought at one point maybe they were independent and they were truly like not grifting.
Right.
A lot of them are grifting.
And now it makes you wonder, are those free thinkers the ones that have all been deplatformed? The Alex Joneses, the Nick Fuenteses, the who's the other fucking guy? Why is he? I don't listen to him, but he's fucking slipping my brain. He's on Rumble too. I'm not gonna think of it. I can't fucking remember his name. But there's someone else who was deplatformed. But
Myron Gaines.
Yeah, was he deplatformed?
That's Fresh and Fit. I don't know if he was or not.
No, I don't think he was. No,
but I think he's independent too.
Yes, but he is one. But I don't think he's deplatformed.
Who do you think is compromised?
Dude, I mean, I think we just
go down the list. All the right wing commentators, right?
I think we all just saw it. Ben,
obviously, and
Matt,
he's the one that's probably Ben, Matt, Michael Knowles, everybody at the Daily Wire,
Kirk, everybody at the Daily Wire.
Jack Posobiec, Candace, maybe.
I was
going to
say Candace. Let's see when she gets off maternity leave where we're at.
I don't know. She's criticizing us going to war with Iran.
Yes,
so that's good.
Yes,
I
and
do like that.
and to a point, I think she is independent only because of the split from the Daily Wire.
Correct.
And we've become very critical of the Daily Wire. I obviously think Matt Walsh's movie was phenomenal.
Of course. I mean, it was very entertaining. You were a subscriber to Daily Wire Plus.
I did subscribe to Daily Wire Plus. It wasn't really Ben, because Ben was, even from the beginning, you can kind of sense the Israel over everything. Israel
now,
first
dude,
mindset.
He says, "I love America because they fund Israel." Like that's something Nick's talked about.
I'm saying that's now. I'm saying back even before all that, you could tell that Ben was more of an Israel first, a fast talker, try to. I
don't know, man. He fooled me.
Make you fall in love with exactly. He fooled me.
Freaking fooled me.
He fooled me.
He
dude.
got me when I was 11 years old.
Yeah, I mean, but also with that, who isn't in the mainstream? I mean, so here's what I'll say. Do you consider everybody who is pro-Israel, Iran, pro-United States helping Israel out in this compromised?
I mean, I love
because I feel like not to cut you off,
No,
I totally just did.
You're good.
But the Fuenteses and the free thinkers in my mind, they are in the same boat of, why are we getting our hands dirty with something that Israel started, something that Israel should be able to figure out themselves, and something that it seems like for the past 30 years, Israel has just been chomping at the bit to become more powerful and to level Iran.
I mean, I think there are some people that are like acting in good faith, and they truly think that it's biblical Israel and that we
Right,
should
like Ted
bless
Cruz.
Israel. We'll get to that
What
in a
a
little.
fuck nut, dude.
We'll get to that in a little bit for
Yeah.
sure. But like, I don't know, man. It's very hard for me to truly pick somebody out that's defending Israel, and say they're acting in good faith. They're not acting on behalf of AIPAC, or they're not saying this because they got a check.
Right.
I mean,
But that's the dangers, man. I mean, we talk about fucking Google VO3 with AI and all that stuff. I mean, what can we trust media-wise? And you can kind of tell AI differences in videos, but that's not my
just so
point.
hard.
That's not my point. Who do we trust then to be an actual talking head for, or to bring up what they actually believe? And I don't know, man. Like, I would like to
Joe Rogan? What do you think? I mean, he's had a lot of pro and anti-Israel people on.
Yes.
I mean, he lets them talk. That is still
I
the
agree.
platform
And
where everybody's allowed to talk.
Correct.
I will always listen to him for that. I will never give up my loyalty to Joe Rogan for that. I've been listening to him since COVID started for 5 years. Well,
Yes.
technically 6, pre-COVID.
Yes.
Watched a couple interviews. But, like, that is the guy when it comes to free speech and letting people talk. I don't think
agree.
he's compromised. I
agree.
truly don't.
I don't think he's compromised. However, I have noticed him bringing politics into circumstances that aren't necessarily political. And I don't have any off the top of my head, but I know in watching, or listening to podcasts, since he backed Trump and
It's
all that
because he's
stuff,
friends with Trump. Like he says, like
exactly.
I was calling Trump the other day. Obviously, you could tell that he's more
Right.
pro-Trump now,
Right.
less skeptical of Trump.
Right.
But even I can't even say that, dude, because even some of the stuff with the sending the people, whoever that was, sending that American to the prison, the high security, the Supermax prison in.
Oh yeah, the MS-13 dude.
No, but he wasn't MS-13. It was the American citizen. Remember, they sent it to, why am I blanking on the name? El Salvador, the El Salvador prison, and then they found out that it was like not constitutional, and he was critical of that.
Yes, I mean, and he is still critical, and so yes, to his point. Again, I saw him bringing politics into places that I feel like before the election and before he ever endorsed his first candidate being
Yeah.
Trump. And it could be just because it's an easy joke to poke holes and make fun of the Democrats because they did run such a shady campaign.
Yeah.
But I just feel as if politics becomes something more talked about in a space where, you have a. I don't know if I'm going to use it because it's the last podcast that just came out. He had Louis J. Gomez and
Right.
Big J. Okerson on. I have not listened to it, but it would be in the sense of like both of those guys haven't necessarily, they're not political commentators. They don't talk about politics. They talk, they do have Dave Smith on,
Right.
but they aren't necessarily outspoken about politics. And him bringing up, some sort of Democratic joke. And again, I'm not saying that this happened, but it's in the sense of I'm listening to somebody who, talks about ancient Egypt and
Right.
in a 2-hour podcast, they are, he's bringing up Trump or he's bringing up the Democratic Party in making fun of and whatever and making comparisons. And I just think, okay, Joe, like, I think we could have found an easier joke there, or I feel like we could have swung it another way that wasn't necessarily politics. However, to your point, I do not think that he is, bought and paid for. I think he is a free thinker, and I really do think that that the male side, the true male audience is what tunes into him.
Yeah, and it's just crazy, dude. Because like I said, obviously, I'll watch Nick for forever. Like, he is the number one guy I trust. But Joe too. He always has a place in my heart. I feel like truthfully he's not grifting. I personally don't think so. I know people like Kyle Kalinske have other claims, and we've talked about that on other podcasts. We don't really talk about it now.
Right.
But something else I did want to ask you about is, what do you think about the Groyper movement in 10, 15, 20 years, okay? Because what I was trying to say was there was, in the past, in the United States, past 100 years, you've had different political movements that have been tried and failed. Not going to say I agree with or disagree with any, but you have the American KKK. I mean, the Ku Klux Klan was a legit political party. It didn't have power. It didn't get that far, but you had it. You have things like the Black Panther Party. You had different like socialist parties, a communist party.
Yeah.
All these different types of independent parties that started off, these political groups, these movements that tried to take off, and then like the CIA with the Black Panther Party, for example, they infiltrated it and then they dismantled it from within.
Yeah.
So do you think that could happen to the Groyper movement?
Do I think that the Groypers could be dismantled, or do I think they could be a genuine...
by like entrapment, for example?
The problem is, and I don't want to speak bad on Nick. I just know... I mean, even through the super chats, dude. I mean, the dude makes money. He doesn't have advertisements.
People are giving like $500 super chats.
Right. So I mean, the kid makes money off of super chats and off of streams, but he doesn't have advertisements. So I think that would be the scariest part of, could he be bought out?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying not him, but the movement itself.
Oh,
right?
the Groypers themselves.
The Groyper movement. I mean, because this movement is something really fascinating.
Yeah,
it has the potential to change our country for the better.
I mean, yes. The problem is, and I think, I mean, I don't know how far it gets, because outside of a straight white man,
it's not even the straight white men though. It's just men in general.
It is, but also it's. I mean, yeah, we saw Kyrie Irving, who was
Kyrie has his clips booked.
Right. However, there is only going to be a certain amount of men of color or even females. I think the Groyper movement is
Christine from Ohio. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Christine from Ohio is a loyal super chatter.
I understand.
A legit person.
I understand that. However,
I'm a fan.
I know. I worry that there has been a lot of segregation already, and I say that term loosely, to which I don't think Nick saying he's Mexican is going to necessarily just win over all the Latina votes, or fans, I don't necessarily think that him saying the soft A on stream is necessarily going to win over every black person. And same thing with women. Certain women love to cook and clean and want to be in the kitchen. My woman's the same way, but I don't make enough money, so that bitch has to work. So
all right, but think about it. You don't agree with every single thing that any politician, and not even to say Nick's a politician, but it's a political movement. You think about that political movement. I mean, that thing is gaining traction.
I agree.
You see all of these people on the right, all the influencers on the right, regardless if they're the ones that we think are bought and paid for, or you're like a Candace Owens that says, no, like it's Israel. Israel's behind all this. People are copying his talking points because they're gaining traction. More people are waking up to the fact that the Israel lobby controls America and America's interests. And we don't want to get into war.
No. And we don't want to die for fucking Israel.
Exactly. And this is all stuff that he's been saying.
Right.
So do you think that like the women in particular can put aside the sexist stuff for like everything else?
I don't think so, dude. Especially because I just think of how social media is.
Right.
And how it is not going anywhere. And as long as we don't have an AI president in the next 20, 30 years, maybe Nick can be a president.
But I think you're underestimating how right wing like the women coming up in our generation, like the younger ones, are like how right wing they are.
I
it's
understand
crazy.
That. I understand that, but I think we would have to see a dismantlement of the traditional right wing, a dismantlement of the traditional Republicans or the Democrats. I don't know that necessarily the women that are coming up. Yes, I do believe that some of them are Republican.
No, but
are they?
The
are
stats
they
are
so
damning.
But are they so far that they would
it's
go
like
for
+3?
Go for someone that says my body, your body, my choice.
It's like +3, and he kind of said that as a joke, not to defend.
I will say to that point, Nick is a troll.
He is a troll.
At the end of the day,
yes,
he is the smartest troll on the internet.
Yeah, but he can troll. He might not be a troll.
No, he's not. He's not a troll all the time.
He can definitely troll.
Absolutely.
He can definitely troll.
Absolutely. To the max.
Yeah, to the max. But it's like, I think number one, we underestimate like the Israel lobby, and more and more of what we see, whether that was Gaza, whether that's now with Israel striking Iran, like more and more people are turning against Israel that are our generation. Like I think Republicans or people that identify as left and right in our generation, majority of both sides do not favor Israel in a good light.
No,
I've seen that stat,
and there's a lot of people that don't, man. But these, like you said, or like we've been saying, these conservative talking heads are just backing Israel.
But what I'm saying is he's completely anti that.
Exactly.
I think in our lifetime we see a decoupling from Israel because our generation is going to be here to stay. Like the boomers are gone in 10 years.
Right.
Gen X, 30 years, they'll all be like in their 80s.
Right.
So they won't have a lot of pool in the world.
Yeah.
It'll be the millennials and it'll be us. And the millennials don't have a good view of Israel either.
Right.
Millennials are also, though, very, very left.
Right.
So there's that. But I think all of the impacts of COVID and the lockdowns and all of that really turned our generation in particular like to people that lean to the right. And so I think this message, potentially, this message gaining traction, the message of the Groyper movement in our generation, the planets could pretty much align.
They very much could. I mean, I won't sit here and say that that's out of the cards.
I think it might replace the main part of the Republican Party.
It could. I mean, now, okay, so
He's anti-war too.
He is anti-war. I think it all just depends on what happen, like what happens out of the outcome of Israel-Iran. How much more right can he be? And I mean right is incorrect. How much more correct can he get on more future things? You know,
I don't know. I know 10 people that are Groypers off the top of my head right now that I'm thinking about
that's
it.
crazy.
Just in our area alone,
Right.
which is crazy. And
and you've been watching them, but we really haven't been talking about Nick
at all
up until like the past month.
Yeah.
That's really when we started discussing things and going further and finding people that, you know, also listen to him. And it's a...
One person that I went to school with that we were just talking about before this.
Yeah.
He said, you will find that he's right about everything and he's very accurate in predicting events. He's like, you will find out these things happen before they happen.
Wow.
And so when he said that, I originally thought, oh shit, there will be a false flag.
Or
we will go to war on behalf of Israel with Iran.
The false flag thing scares me, and I'll tell you why. Because right before we recorded, and we're recording this on Wednesday the 18th, the newest headline that's come out is that Iran wants to sit down and discuss a ceasefire.
And Trump said he doesn't want a ceasefire.
Exactly. That's the problem. He doesn't want a ceasefire, which is odd because 2 weeks ago he was all for a ceasefire.
Exactly.
And Bibi's been the one who has constantly been calling for a regime change. And now all of a sudden we're and to Ted Cruz's point, and we'll again get into that. It is a lot for a sitting president to call for a regime change in another country.
Yeah.
I
agree.
So I don't see how. And then to Nick's point, how do we just agree to a regime change? Because if we agree to a ceasefire, there will not be a regime change. However, if we continue to attack nuclear sites, if we continue to bomb them, that is when we can force a regime change. And I believe that is where Israel wants. I think that is what Israel wants. I mean, it's not even a thought. It's 100% what Israel wants. And again, to back the whole fucking point, man, we are doing Israel's dirty work, and we're going to be. And Alex Jones predicted it. And I mean, if his predictions are sometimes hit or miss, and I haven't heard Nick talk about this exact one, but I heard Alex Jones today say he guesses we will enter Iran next Thursday.
Yeah. It's just when you hear about Steve Witkoff having multiple rounds of negotiations with Iran, the first couple were not about the nuclear program. I believe 4, 5, and 6 were. They were supposed to enter round 6 on last Sunday, but the problem was Israel attacked Iran, I think, on Thursday, and so that new round never happened.
Right.
And then when you hear, Trump was saying all of this stuff before Israel attacked Iran about how they want to go through diplomacy and how they don't want any violence to happen. They don't want Israel to strike. But then Netanyahu goes, no, Trump knew the whole time. And Trump's like, oh, no, yeah, I knew the whole time. And Nick's saying, does he have dementia?
Right.
Is he afraid of admitting, like, Netanyahu upstaged him? Like, what is up with him? Because we did not vote for this. We voted. We were foolish, fellas. We told you all to vote for Trump, and we pulled out all the stops. Now, granted, looking back on it, I don't think that Kamala would have been a better option. I think this is the lesser of two evils,
Yes.
so forgive us. But still, we were promised no new wars, and we believed the fuck out of it.
I mean, it's what we got in the first. It's what we got in the first. Why the hell is the word fucking slipping my mind? Term, Jesus.
And people like
that's what we got in the first term, and so why would we not agree that in the second term that's what we are also going to get? But I also want to get on the topic of Trump bashing Tulsi.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
You want to bring that
What
up?
was that? Yeah, go ahead, talk about that.
So, I mean, it was basically just here's my problem. Is we have politicians tell us that the Mossad is the best intelligence organization and they share their intelligence with us. However, you're going to tell me that Tulsi Gabbard was briefed on lies? You're going to tell me that Tulsi doesn't know about the nuclear program in Iran, but now Trump does, so Trump is going to tell right there. Trump is going to shit on Tulsi Gabbard and say, I don't care what Tulsi says. This just all looks so fishy, man. Donald Trump looks like a puppet. He has looked like a puppet for the past 2 weeks. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe so. So here's what I think. Is this a CNN or Fox News reporter?
I think this is CNN. Caitlin Collins he's talking to.
Okay. Yeah, so she's going to bring up the Tulsi Gabbard situation.
You've always said that you don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon, but how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having one.
I don't care what she said. I think they are very close. So again, the Mossad.
Why is she the director of national security? Right? Isn't that her director of national DNI? Yeah. DNS, whatever. Why is she the director of national security? If you don't care what she says, I'm sorry, but Trump dodged the draft for Vietnam. Tulsi actually served in the war.
Exactly.
Tulsi knows about all this stuff. She said, I will resign if we go to war with Iran. And to her credit, I believe a quote came out where she said, no, I will still resign if we go to war with Iran. Like, you have all these people. We voted for all these people, including you, with the promise of us not going to war because we do not want to fight for wars on behalf of people that don't give a fuck about us.
Exactly.
Lindsey Graham
can eat my ass.
Lindsey
dude.
Graham is the ultimate neocon, warmongering. I learned of a term called a chicken hawk, which is a politician that wants to send other people to war.
Yes.
That won't go to war himself.
And has no kids to send to war either.
Right. Lindsey Graham's 70 years old, and I think he is gay. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's no offense to you if you are gay. But this guy is hiding his homosexuality when he could have all the freedom to come out. He probably wouldn't win re-election, though, for the Senate race in South Carolina. People are talking about primarying him from the right. They should do it. This guy gives no fucks about anybody but himself and the money that he will make from war. Remember that clip? Killing Russians is the best money we ever spent. He's rubbing his tummy, killing it. We love killing Russians. We love it.
Or like when all the floods happened, and
Yeah,
he
that's
was
right.
like, "Yeah, all the floods happened."
Yes.
And he's like, "Yeah, but think of the Ukraine."
Yeah. His people, Lindsey Graham's people in North Carolina. I said South Carolina. I apologize. It is North Carolina. He had a couple people from the floods. I think it was 13 at the time that were dead.
Yes.
Dead from a natural disaster
Yes.
in his state. And he goes, well, we got to think about the Ukraine.
What a fucking retard, dude! I can't stand him.
He is a flaming homosexual.
Dude,
and again,
it's so bad.
And again, we don't mean to alienate you if you're a homosexual.
But we do. Groypers stand up.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I'm kidding. But no. Anyways,
he's a chicken hog, bro. He's a warmonger, and I don't like him. I haven't liked him for a long time. After I saw that clip about him saying killing Russians the best money we ever spent.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
People did not elect you to say that or do that.
Exactly.
You're crazy.
Exactly. And I think I want to say he's been on Fox News a couple times that I've seen him speak, and everything with him. I mean,
he's a Bush Republican.
He is a Bush Republican. He is a warmonger. I mean,
He's
bad.
a chicken hawk.
It is bad, man.
I don't like him. I never liked him.
But now, dude, what is happening with Trump? What is
Gosh.
happening with Trump? How is Tulsi going to sit there and say, Iran, testify, and say that we do not believe that Iran is building a nuclear missile? And now Trump is sitting here saying that no, I believe they were. No, I believe BB has some dirt on you, and we'll play that clip. I believe BB has some dirt on you, and we are fucking pulling strings, dude. I think we're pulling strings because why did we do a 180 in 2 weeks where we were cool with coming to some sort of an agreement with Iran, and now it is over. And you can't sit here and tell me that Iran saying death to America scares us that much. Yeah, I mean, it's not great, dude, but they've been saying it for 30 fucking years.
So, you were talking about BB having dirt.
This is something, like you said, our Groyper leader, Nick Fuentes, seems to always be right. And this is something that he got onto last night's stream.
When he was talking about, like, in the super chats, it was towards the end of the stream.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the clip that I recorded having dirt on him.
Well, I was actually going to talk about that. But basically what Nick was talking about was, I don't think we need the clip because I have something else that I want to elaborate on.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nick was talking about, thinks that BB has dirt on Trump. This is something that the American public are saying, like, why do you have this complete 180?
Right. Especially because, and let's preface it, and I think I know where you're going with it.
I'm going that exactly.
But Elon Musk, 2 weeks ago, comes out and tweets that Trump is on the Epstein list.
Right.
And then as news cycles go, we have riots in LA.
And we covered this, by the way.
We have protests.
And nobody watched.
No, we had fucking 8 people. Fuck you guys. Groypers, stand up. No. It's so fun to say.
I know.
So Elon Musk, 2 weeks ago, is it 2 weeks? 3 weeks at this point?
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, comes out and says that Donald Trump is on the Epstein list. They make up. They have a phone call. Someone says he's on ketamine. Now he's putting out a fucking... a drug test and he's clean. Whatever. I mean, he tweeted a fucking drug test. You can't tell me that we can't just change that. You're the fucking billionaire, dude. Yeah. Anyways, that's beside the point. He comes out and says that, as news cycles do, it gets washed away. Elon and Trump they haven't publicly made up, but Trump didn't comment on that at all.
Which is very interesting because when Tucker Carlson came out against the war in Iran, Trump immediately went to a character assassination, called him Kooky Tucker Carlson, which that was a really shitty insult. You could do a lot worse, but whatever. I think he's losing his edge in that regard.
But anyways,
he did not come after Elon at all when Elon said he's on the Epstein list. And it's like, bro, we talk about Kyle Kalinske and what he was reporting on last week, and it's like, oh, Trump was actually best friends with Epstein. In addition, we talked about all those clips that Kyle pulled up, and we talked about, too, Trump and Melania having sex for the first time on the Lolita Express, which was Epstein's plane. So, because all of these people were talking about, no, Trump is actually friends with Epstein, and we could see the videos. They were talking about it for damn near a decade. He was friends with him. It's like, what did he get on him? Because Epstein did work for Mossad. Epstein's
Ghislaine Maxwell's father,
yes, did also work for Mossad. Epstein's allegedly Mossad, but he had all these people that were Christian Zionists or just Zionists, Jewish Zionists, donating
but even then,
to him.
I was going to say, how did Epstein make his money? He all got that from the big Israeli-backed businesses, the Frisbee-backed businesses.
Right, Frisbee-backed.
Yeah, that's actually not bad. FBB, Frisbee-backed businesses.
Frisbee-backed businesses. Yeah, that's good. I like that. I like that you watch Chris and Giannis Papas.
Yeah, dude, History Hyenas is great.
I love that podcast.
It's a great show.
But yeah, they definitely have something on him. There's no doubt in my mind that Israel has something on Trump, bro. Because this is a monumental shift, and this is not, once again, we said this is not candidate Trump. Candidate Trump, bro?
No, dude.
Best political candidate in my lifetime. President Trump and candidate Trump are not the same thing. He
but
was
this
just
is
saying
also,
shit to get us to vote for him.
I mean, I agree to that to an extent, but he has been President Trump. I mean, tariffs, whatever. Yeah, you can have some issues with how he's ran his first 100 and some days, but also let's talk about how he's been up until about literally 3 weeks ago.
It's different. Something's different.
Something has changed. Something has changed since that Elon
and a lot of the MAGA base has turned against him, bro. We've turned against him. You should be critical of somebody that you voted for when he promised you that you would not get into any world wars, or no new wars in general.
Right.
Last time I checked, he promised that he would end the Russia-Ukraine conflict in 48 hours of being president-elect. Guess what? We're 120 days in now, I think, and it still hasn't ended.
I think it's 140.
140. Shit.
149. I think we're almost at 150.
Almost at 150. Okay, there you go. And it's still not ended. Furthermore, he was talking about ending the Israel-Palestine conflict. Now it's Israel versus Iran. Israel is like a bulldog that you can't, or no, Israel's a pit bull that you can't physically control,
Right.
and America's the owner, and we keep losing the chain. We keep losing
It just
the leash.
keeps dragging us, dude. It keeps
biting
dragging us.
all-
We're on a skateboard, and
Yeah.
they're just fucking taking us.
Palestine is a person walking on the other side of the street.
Yep.
It gets out of your hand. Israel goes, bites Palestine. Palestine's dead. Palestine has rabies. Iran's
a little squirrel. Poor little fucking squirrel.
Iran's a little squirrel, comes from a tree. Israel, the pit bull, gets off the leash, kills it in the street.
Yeah.
Doesn't even give it space to run. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we so beholden to this foreign country who controls all of our politicians? Trump has received more than $230 million from AIPAC, the Israel-funded lobby. Like, why? When are we going to wake up here?
Right.
A lot of people have woken up. We've been
Right.
talking about this for a minute, and it doesn't seem like anybody cares.
And tell me why they could back all these American politicians, but they can't back their own military?
Our own politician, our own representative.
Yes.
I will not say his name.
Yes.
Because my parents are friends with them.
Oh.
Yeah. He received money from AIPAC as well, to the tune of $10,000.
Really?
Yeah, he took it. He took it from a foreign country.
Oh,
The politician,
no.
the representative that represents this very area, which I
Really?
don't want to say, but you can look it up. You probably know where we're based out of. Took $10,000 from AIPAC. You can look this shit up, man.
Wow.
You can look it up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm very passionate about this because
Right.
if it was any other foreign country, bro, if it was China
No.
paying our politicians to spew talking points, we would be like, bro, get the fuck out. If
Exactly.
it was Russia, you're
Exactly.
telling me people wouldn't be like, bro, get the fuck out. What are you doing? If it was Iran,
But the problem is you can't criticize it without being called
anti-Semite.
an anti.
Which, you know what? Nah. I don't want to take that
Let's
stance
not go
here.
down there.
I don't take that stance online.
No. Dude, Nick Fuentes, man.
He was right.
He's the GOAT.
To cap it, he was right.
He's the GOAT.
I mean, we went
and we
off
spent the first hour probably
56 minutes talking about it.
Yeah.
So that'll be a giant clip.
Groypers, stand up.
Stand
No.
up. But that's the truth, dude. It feels.
Imagine this podcast just becomes a Nick Fuentes talking point.
I
Just
really hope
his way
not.
to get back onto YouTube is us clipping him.
But we just talk about things that we see in the news. That's all it is. I mean, it hasn't been. This is more based off of the war and politics as of late. It hasn't been more entertainment based. I mean, but we could do that. Give us a like, subscribe. We're really close to.
We'll talk
to
about
making money
Diddy
on
if
it.
you really want us to talk about Diddy.
I mean, we'll talk about important cultural topics and stuff in the news, culture stuff. News, entertainment, whatever. But. Yeah, man.
But also, this is something that's just really interested the both of us
Yeah.
as people who are kind of switching into a political commentator, relaxed political
that's always
commentator.
been it, though. That's always been our show.
I mean, it really hasn't been. If you go back to what we started on,
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
If
But
what we started-
let's go back. We just drank a little bit. That was our thing. But we were talking about Biden and Kamala, the Merchant of Death, all the way back then. This is
I
part of
guess.
this show.
Yeah, man, it really just fucking. Yeah, it took off, and now here we are. And also, too, I mean, you need different viewpoints. You can't just be a Fox News Republican. I have come to the
can't.
conclusion that there is a Fox News Republican, and there is a CNN Democrat.
Facts.
There are also Democrats who are able to make up their own minds and see their own kind of information. There are also Republicans who are now looking on this side of X. I would say X is a very big landscape to find political beliefs.
Yeah, I agree. And it's right-wing dominated, but that doesn't
Exactly.
mean that the people on the left aren't there.
Exactly. And the other problem I have with it, though, is I don't know what is real on X sometimes.
That's the
man.
thing, because I feel like the engagement is definitely bot farmed to a degree. I don't know if
Yes.
it's millions and millions of views on a specific post.
Right, but I
That's
mean,
it.
it's true. But also, I mean, like I said, we're watching Nick Fuentes get more views in a live stream than CNN is getting in a broadcast.
I'm
And
red
it's-
pilled. I'm red pilled without a doubt. I'm red pilled on pretty much everything. I don't know if I agree with.
And the only, sorry, not to cut you off,
Cut
but
me
I want to
off,
go
it's
back to
okay.
Israel, Iran, dude. The only argument that Republicans have in us going to war with Iran is they say death to America.
That's the
They have said
dumbest
death to America since I was fucking 2 years old. Like I've heard death to America my entire fucking
believe
life.
in freedom
Have
of
I
speech?
ever fucking worried about Iran?
No.
I've never worried about Iran. You want to know why? Because Iran's friends with fucking China and Russia and all these other countries that I am more afraid of than fucking Iran, dude. Whether or not they have a nuclear missile, then they have something to bring to the table. Then we we can talk. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that the reason we should go into war with Israel against Iran is all because they say death to America, and we think because Israel tells us that they have a nuclear weapon. Get fucked. All the way. Let's take a coffee break.
Yes, sir. We'll be right back.